Hey, everyone. Welcome to Locked On Lakers for Tuesday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky. The Lakers are hanging a banner for the in-season tournament. How do you feel about that? Next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, no matter how or where you get your podcast. It's always free. It's never behind a paywall. And Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where over 22,000 subscribers are hanging out, talking to each other, talking to us, leaving us questions. And Andy, they're talking about banners, specifically a banner for the in-season tournament. The Lakers announced on Monday that they will hang one. It will not look exactly the same as the banners that go up for their full season titles, the 17 of those that they've got in the rafters at the Crypt. It will look different. They will add to it every time they win, sort of like state championship banners that you saw like in high school and stuff. But a banner is going up, Andy, and what was your impression of, before we get to your thoughts, like both your impression of how Lakers fans reacted and like, were you surprised at the reaction? Because I got the impression that people were like, this is dumb and we hate it.
Well, first of all, before we even get to my reaction to the reaction, I told you all this was going to happen.
That's true. You said it was.
This is the thing that the league needs to happen. If you are going to do this tournament at all, and lend it any type of credibility at all, you need to treat it like winning something not just matters, but needs to be commemorated. And if you start looking for workarounds, like I've heard people talk about, you have a trophy that's inside the facility, or you hang a banner in the practice facility, things like that, you are relegating that to second class. And you are automatically saying, this is not that important. And if you are going to bother doing this from a branding perspective, from a culture building perspective, from the sense of building history for this event, you have to treat it like it deserves and requires commemoration. And the way these things are commemorated is by banners, signage, whatever you want to call it, displays in the building where a team plays, which is why I said from the beginning, this is obvious.
I think fans are conflating two different things. If the Lakers were left to their own devices, if they could choose, the Lakers who do not commemorate, division titles. They do not commemorate conference titles. They do not do anything like that in the rafters. They do not have a ring of honor. You have to be in the Hall of Fame to get your jersey retired. But if they were creating the standard for themselves, they probably would not raise a banner for this tournament inside the arena. Maybe they do it at the facility. Maybe they do nothing. I have no idea. They probably would not raise a banner. But this, as you are alluding to, Andy, is not a Lakers decision. Adam Silver, as you tweeted out this afternoon, on Monday afternoon, if the Lakers chose not to hang one, Adam Silver would come into the arena at nighttime and hang one himself.
No, he ordered the code red. There is no question about this.
This is a league mandate. Hang something up. It doesn't have to look like your other banners, but put something up there. And the Lakers are being team players here in the same way that LeBron understood the value of this to the league and got behind it from the beginning. And that was part of, I think, the team's enthusiasm for is LeBron recognizing the value of his buy-in. This is the league saying, yo, do basically what Andy says because of what Andy said. And the Lakers saying, yeah, we'll do something. We got you.
Look, I will say this, though, because I've heard other people make the comparison to, they don't hang division titles. They don't hang conference titles. And that is true. I also think that's a bad comparison because a division title or a conference title is not the end game for a season. So the Lakers have a tradition of only hanging banners for things that are the end game for the thing. When you win the in-season tournament, that is the end game of the thing. So, someone reacted to me on Twitter at Can Brothers like, oh, so they're going to start hanging, division titles. I was like, yes, that's what they're going to start do. They're also going to start hanging a banner every time they win a game. Yep. They're just going to hang a different banner up there, and it's going to be like a tapestry store inside Crypt. And sorry, that's a stupid comparison. A lot of people make it, and it's dumb because you're missing the obvious point. There's an end game, and there's not an end game. So again, if you are going to do this tournament at all, and by the way, there is no team in the league, including Boston, because half of their championships came before the league was integrated and every family had a television to watch them and stuff like that. Right. There is no team.
The league was in quite literally in black and white. when the Celtics
way
were
more
winning.
White though. Way more white.
When the Celtics were winning.
It was in more white and black at the time. But there is no team in the league that gives the in-season tournament more legitimacy by hanging that banner, and conversely, no team that takes away the legitimacy more by not hanging one.
They don't have you take one for the league has to do some of these things. Do they feel silly? Do they feel over the top? A little bit here and there, and they'll tweak it and they'll make it different, a little bit different every year, and they'll find a happy medium and all these other things. But for everybody who's freaking out over this, to me, it reminds me of the anger and the frustration and the consternation over jersey patches. It's like, if I could choose, would you put something up in the rafters for this? No, probably not. I don't think it's, when you think particularly at the Crypt of just the stuff that the Lakers have, the weightiness of all the things that are up there. I probably wouldn't, but I also, would I put jersey patches on? No, I don't love them. The aesthetic of it and whatever, but you know how long it took me to get used to it? A day, 3 days. They'll raise the banner. People will make fun of them whenever they put it up. And I forget exactly. I don't even remember if they've announced the date or whatever.
Yeah, they have. It's going to be the December 18th.
Yeah, it was coming up quickly. They're going to get this thing over with.
Also, we'll get into this. There's a double meaning to this date, perhaps.
Yeah, that'll be the next segment. Mm-hmm. But it took 5 minutes to get used to the jersey patch, and now at first it was Wish, and I was like, oh yeah, I got to get some shopping done, and now it's BBGO, and I was like, oh yeah, I got to stop in my grocery freezer aisle because that stuff's delicious. I mean, you get used to it, and you know what? You'll think it's silly maybe when you go into the Crypt and you point up at the sky and be like, look, there's a banner for it. And then in 4 minutes, you'll forget that it's there and everybody can go on with their life.
And the league's hope is, by the way, that in 10 years, you won't think it's silly because the tournament has gained cachet. But
there might be 3 or 4 listings for the Lakers in there,
And this, though, is how you start making the thing mean something, hopefully. Who knows? In 20 years, people may decide, you know what? It started out hot, and then people decided they weren't that into it, and the league quietly tries to make it go away.
Adam Silver goes and takes it down.
Right. But for the time being, if you are trying to do this is how also a couple of people pointed out to us on Twitter from Kobeland at LeBrowland. There's a Taylor Swift banner hung up in those rafters, and we're complaining about this one. The Swift banner apparently has been taken down, but the point is solid. Also, I guess I didn't.
I haven't looked.
I hadn't noticed one way or the other. And then Brad Magsum at Brad Magsum said to us, as long as we hang a banner showing the 2 meetings we got with LaMarcus Aldridge, I'm happy. It could be one banner with both meetings.
I actually heard that the Dodgers used that pitch for Shohei Ohtani, and it worked. They took the same script. So we'll all get used to it, Andy. People will make jokes on the 18th. It'll be fine.
Who cares?
You know what they are, Andy? They're jealous that they can't hang their own banner.
To be honest, I guarantee these fan bases would at least be happy if their team won it. Nobody's unhappy.
If it was any other team in the league other than the Lakers, most fans wouldn't.
But here's the thing, though. Right, but I disagree, actually. If most other teams hang that banner, that to me is where the jokes write themselves. If the Pacers
I agree with you.
thing,
No, I agree with you, Andy. I'm just saying a lot of the people want to, take a crack at the Lakers because, a lot of the league likes to take cracks at the Lakers, fans and stuff like that. I don't blame them. The other half of the December 18th
we could loan out the IST banner.
That's right.
Some of those.
The other half of the December 18th date and why it's significant, we'll tell you next.
Locked On Lakers is brought to you by Game Time. And when I was around 12, 13 years old, the police were on the Synchronicity Tour. It was a really difficult ticket to land. But at the time when I couldn't get them, I thought, no big deal. I'll just catch the next police tour. And it turned out they broke up right after that. And I learned that particular day, when it comes to a concert you want to see or any event you want to see that requires tickets, Carpe Diem, don't miss out. It's why I love Game Time, the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy shows, and theater near you. And with killer deals on last-minute tickets and the best price guarantee, you can stop getting stressed out over the tickets, start getting hyped for the fun. They offer images of seat views, and the Game Time guarantee means you will always have the best price. If you find tickets in the same section or row or less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. It is the fastest growing ticketing app in the country for a reason. So snag the tickets without the stress using Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Locked On Lakers also brought to you by Logic. So, in this show, you get a lot of in-depth analysis and hot takes, right? Let me give you my hottest take of the day. The best lineup in LA and the surrounding areas right now is the lineup of auto loans at Logix. They start off at the top with my favorites, the proven and dependable new and used vehicle loans. You can count on these guys to give you low rates and save you big time bucks. Next up, they've got an exciting new rookie sensation in their electric vehicle loans with super low rates and flexible payment terms. Rounding out the lineup, they've got their auto refinancing loans and lease buyout loans. With these guys, you could lower your monthly payments and get on the road to owning your car faster. I know it's a hot take, but seriously, no one can beat the lineup at Logix. So visit your local Logix branch right here in LA and the surrounding areas and let one of their amazing team members help you, or just apply online in minutes at logixbanking.com/car. That's LOGIX banking.com/car.
Reminder, the Lakers play the Mavericks in Dallas tonight, 4:30 p.m. Pacific time. No Kyrie, and Dallas is dealing with other injuries, but Luka Doncic is always a one-man problem. Catch every Lakers game on the hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search Lakers.
Perhaps, I'm with you, Andy. I was not surprised to see the news of the banner. I thought your explanation of it was rock solid, and that's exactly what would happen, and you were turned out to be correct. The more surprising news of the day on Monday was that Shams Charania reported that the Lakers are expecting Gabe Vincent to play perhaps as early as December 18th. He is aiming for the 18th to not make his debut, but make his return. That, Andy, is significantly earlier than I had expected, not necessarily based on anything medically, just because I decided we would never see him again.
Well, there is a history of the cagier the Lakers are with updates, the worse it often is.
Stop talking about you. It's
yeah.
Like, I don't know about that guy.
Yeah, I mean, and there was to some degree some doom casting going on with this, and we are not the only ones. But I can also say, from asking around a little bit, I got no sense that people, closer to the team than us really had an idea of when he was coming back. Maybe they've just done a very good job of keeping this close to the vest. But like the idea that, we had heard certain updates on Vando, we had heard certain updates on Rui, that sort of thing. There was not word one on Vincent, but This is actually very good news. Like the idea that even if it's not the 18th, that the Lakers could wrap up the 2023 year, fingers crossed, with all hands on deck and building that foundation for 2024 with a full roster. That's really significant.
Yeah. And it's one of these things where he's been out a while, and the injury is one that they're going to want to bring him along slowly and all this. And so I wouldn't expect him to come back and play big minutes. I don't know if in his return, Vincent will be playing exactly the role that in theory the Lakers would like him to build into. But that said, as Kabi, I don't know what the role is. Like this is all really important stuff for the Lakers to be able to go through. Is like figure out what it looks like when they do have everybody available. And for most of the season, there's always going to be one or two guys missing or whatever. But you got to know what it looks like when you have all of your pieces and when you have the options. And, I don't know exactly where Gabe Vincent fits in, given how well they're playing and sort of the rhythm that they've figured out defensively and all that. But I mean, he fits in somewhere. I mean, I don't think he's Christian Wood at this point, but I am very curious to see what it looks like when he comes back.
Well, I mean, if nothing else, Gabe Vincent is a really defense-first player. He is, I think, more of a score-first point guard than a traditional table-setting point guard, but I think he's even more of a defense-first guy than he is scoring-first to begin with. So in that sense, he doesn't offers I would say a little bit of offensive help, but he doesn't offer the type of juice by himself that you would hope for, just because it is in a lot of ways what this team could use right now. But the flip side is, if you are looking to double down and triple down on strengths, I think Gabe Vincent can actually help you a lot there. And if this ultimately is the best version of the Lakers, or just the version of the Lakers that they are most capable of being, Gabe Vincent does fit the profile. He can be a very dogged point of attack defender. He's very smart in the way he approaches this stuff. He's worked with, he was developed in one of the best defensive systems in the league. I think along those lines, he's going to fit in really well.
It's funny though. I always laugh with the Miami thing. Like, do you want guys that come from Miami, or is like to the minute like Miami guys leave that environment, like the magic dust of the Miami Heat disappears? I don't know. I think the culture the Lakers are building in LA has a lot of similarities to it. The thing that I find so fascinating about Vincent, so much of Vincent's role is dictated in part by Russell and like how much defensive integrity he can, because like we were expecting Vincent to potentially close a lot of games because of Russell's defensive deficiencies. He being Russell, has been much better, much more conscientious on that side of the ball this year. Not perfect, but much more playable, I think, down the stretch of games and stuff like that.
Yeah, not irreplaceable, but playable. And depending on what the Lakers need at any given moment, Vincent wasn't shooting the ball well before he got hurt. I'm fairly sure he's going to shoot better than 7% for the rest of the year. You think you can take that to the bank, but it's not it's not a given like what the role looks like. It's another place where actually, honestly, Cam Reddish's kind of surprising breakthrough shuffles up the rotation in ways that you didn't necessarily anticipate earlier in the year, because he's suddenly a 30-minute a night guy, and that's a player you didn't necessarily expect to play at all. But I think you can file this undoubtedly in the first world problems, things that Darvin is looking forward to having to try to figure out. And if anything, if the Lakers can continue to play well and do all that, maybe it's a way to chip a minute or two here and there off of LeBron's minutes every night. Yeah, I mean, I think that's always the goal. The more guys that you can put out there that can, just, if not keep the team thriving when LeBron sits, just keep the thing from sinking in a like in a fiery wreck somehow in the ocean. It's that bad. It manages
a little bit of you're mixing metaphors a little bit, but that's okay.
I'm thinking of, I don't know, like maybe like an oil tanker catching on fire, because sometimes
fires happen on the water. Very dangerous. Very dangerous.
And sometimes it frankly is that bad for the Lakers when LeBron sits. But like I was thinking about this in terms of where the minutes would come from. And, coming up after the break, let me throw out a potential, like a few different scenarios, and you can tell me what feels most likely. So we'll get into that coming up next. Locked on Lakers is brought to you by FanDuel, and you can celebrate this NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets back with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $5. Bet a team. Don't even worry about the spread. If you pick the right team, that's $150 back in bonus bets. And you can use those bonus bets on spreads, on player props, over-unders, futures, all sorts of fun stuff. The app is really easy to use. All the options right there at your fingertips. And Lakers currently 18-1 to win the NBA championship. A little IST respect coming their way. LeBron is 100-1 for MVP. Anthony Davis 75-1. He is also 4.3-1 for Defensive Player of the Year, behind only Rudy Gobert, and your odds leader for Sixth Man of the Year, according to the folks at FanDuel, Austin Reeves at 2.7.
We should spend a little time on this on a show coming up, because this is also interesting to me.
Yep, Austin Reeves 2.7-1. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. Enjoy the NFL season. Enjoy sports with an offer you don't want to miss. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL. Reminder, the Lakers play the Mavericks in Dallas tonight, 4:30 p.m. Pacific time. No Kyrie, and Dallas is dealing with other injuries, but Luka Doncic is always a one-man problem. Catch every Lakers game on the hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search Lakers. All right, so I was thinking about this, Brian. In a lot of ways, looking for those Vincent minutes. As you said, the perfect world is maybe just find different ways to configure this so it ultimately affects LeBron the most in a positive way. But beyond that, I think if it turns out that Rui and LeBron can give the Lakers what they need when AD is sitting and you go relatively smaller, then Jackson Hayes, I think his minutes could turn out to be the starting point in terms of what's getting chopped, because they're the least defined, I think, to begin with. He has a role in the rotation, but whether it's one shift, two shifts, I think that can be fluid. If Vincent's perimeter defense combined with the experience proves to be really important, maybe Max Christie starts seeing his time go down, although I really hope that's not the case.
I hope not too.
And I suppose it could be Reddish, but I don't see why it would be right now.
No, I don't think Darvin's going to do anything to mess with the Reddish Vanderbilt dynamic that they've got going.
Nope.
Other than maybe Vando gets a few more minutes once he's built back up a little bit.
Right.
But that to me is something they're going to run through for 48 minutes with a little bit of Christie in there.
Well, and I agree. They should. I think Taurean Prince is an ideal guy to see some of his minutes go down.
Yeah.
He's averaging nearly 30 on the season. And that's his highest since 2020 and the second highest average of his career. And look, he's played better of late. Like he's over the last 10 games, averaging 41% from three. After a miserable start, he's raised his season average now to nearly 36%. So he's trending in the right direction. But this is just a lot of minutes for Prince, period, and like more than you'd necessarily want historically over his career. So I think Jackson Hayes and Taurean Prince could be maybe some common. Prince is going to keep playing. Make that clear. Taurean Prince is going to keep playing. He's likely going to keep starting. But I think those could be the two guys where you look beyond LeBron, maybe to carve out those minutes for Vincent.
That makes sense. I know. I think 30 is higher, more than you want for Prince. And so a lot of this, so much of this depends on the shooting. Like, if Vincent comes in and shoots credibly, that's, it's almost like every percentage that he's above 30%, like 35% above, like earns him another 2 or 3 minutes on the floor, because, the spacing, the Lakers have not conquered their offensive issues. They have not conquered their spacing issues and things like that. And that's why Russell's ability to potentially stay on the floor, late matters, is because, you have a real floor spacer there. I think that's why Taurean Prince has been playing, is because you need to be able to space the floor a little bit and get some buckets down the stretch. Even if he's not the one getting them, he's shooting much better now than he was earlier. And you have to honor the capability. So if you take Russell off the floor for a guy whose three-pointer is not as well respected in Vincent, there is the idea, like, you need to figure out where that spacing is going to come from. I think that's one of the things that is just sort of left on the to-do list right now for the Lakers, is figuring out where can we maximize both of the things that we need to do: score points and prevent them. Like, what is that sweet spot where we get the best of both? Because there is a defensive lineup, Andy, that they could put out that could probably lock you down and, average 62 points a game, but, might hold the other team to 54. There's another team the Lakers could put out that could probably average 150 a game, but let in 160. So finding that sweet spot.
I don't know. I'm actually not confident right now that lineup exists. Like, you brought up a couple times, like, the idea of trying to find the lineup for the Lakers, like, like the best defensive lineup that doesn't sacrifice the offense. I guess sort of the perverse version of good news is there may be no lineup where you're sacrificing the offense for the Lakers now.
It's 3 a.m. I'm at a cockfight. What am I clinging to?
Yeah, I mean, there is an element of Darvin doesn't need to be that frightened of it.
No, that's fair. I mean, okay, maybe there isn't a version. There definitely is a version of Lakers that could give up 160 points, but there may not be one right now.
You know what? If it makes you feel good, not that many versions.
No, you got to take a lot of important people off the floor. I love, this is the thing that I've been looking forward to all season long, that I really felt that we've all been deprived of. And we've started to get, a feel for it, is like, this is what makes regular seasons fun for teams with real aspirations, is this process of building the thing and finding out what works in ways that you expect and what works in ways that you don't expect. Like, Cam Reddish is a thing that maybe the coaching staff expected it, but I know I didn't. And I know a lot of observers of the Lakers didn't. And, it's that fine line, and it drives fans crazy between, pick a consistent rotation, or why isn't this guy playing, or what he did this and now he's not on the floor, or what, and all that. And looking for the combinations that work. And, that to me is why the 82 game regular season is interesting.
Yeah.
And the Lakers can finally, knock on wood, if they can keep everybody else on the floor, engage in this process in the most meaningful way, starting, what is the 18th is?
That would be Monday.
Monday, right.
Still Monday.
No, I mean, like, the holidays, man, they screw up everything. Like, people are in and out of school, and
I know,
work and this and that, but yeah. So I'm just excited by the whole thing.
Yeah. No, it'd be nice. It would be nice to, the Lakers, I think, are one of the few teams at this point who has not had one game with their full roster. Like, the Lakers probably aren't the only one, but I can't imagine there are that many that have not had their full roster for at least one game.
Before we go, I do want to make time to note just another example of how seriously, they took the tournament, but also how much the Lakers, and particularly D'Angelo Russell, remember what happened last year against the Nuggets. By now, most people have seen the back and forth and the trash talk with Russell and Bruce Brown, formerly of the Nuggets, now playing on Indiana. He was their big free agent signing. And D'Lo was, when Brown picked up his second foul, he's, go sit down, calling for a sub, like Rick Carlisle and all that. And just doing all this stuff and, like, really pointing out, like, and he pointed out, like, this guy was talking trash constantly and continued to talk trash. Bruce Brown, for his part, was like, okay, yeah, if I remember correctly, we won the conference finals against you and then a title. So shut up, D'Angelo Russell. And that's fine. That's exactly how I would respond too. But it gives you an idea of how much last year I think hurt Russell, like on a kind of a personal and a pride based level, really hurt him. This idea that he can't play fourth quarters, this idea that he was the reason they lost that series and all that stuff. And I don't think he's overcompensating, but I do think what he's done is really focus on being as good as he can be at the stuff he's bad at and maximizing the stuff that he's good at.
Yeah,
I think that to me is that swagger that he's got offensively, change of speeds and the confidence he's got moving the ball.
Yeah, his exact quote, Dan Wojcicki from the LA Times reported, quote, he, being Brown, was talking bleep all year. Yeah, talking bleep all year. For me, it was just showing it with my play. I don't have nothing to say to him. I'm a fan of him, to be honest. This was just all on the court. Got something to say? Show me on the court. Jokic ain't there next to you today. It's different. And, like D'Angelo Russell is a player that Laker fans are never going to ever want to get a sense is feeling too comfortable. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think there's anybody on this team.
Andy, a lot of people have got December 15th circled on their calendars.
Yes.
The first day D'Angelo Russell can be traded.
And we've talked about this many times. D'Angelo Russell's a really bright guy. He's fully aware of this. He's talked openly about, the give and take that led to his price point and also waiving his implied no trade clause. I think he wants to be here for what it's worth. I don't think D'Lo has offered any real reason to trade him. Doesn't mean he won't be, but his play has not merited being traded.
I agree. He's played very well.
Yeah, but as you point out, I think he is very aware of his perception around the league. To whatever degree the perception bothers him, I do think he was aware I needed to be better. And he is still an imperfect player, and he's always going to be an imperfect player. But I do think he's trying to be better at the things that he's weak at. And for what it's worth, too, when this team is fully activated defensively, he can operate in a way where he can be passable and occasionally effective.
He really, 5 steals in the finals.
That's good enough.
It is. He really, really wants to be able to play late in games and when it matters, which is great. Locked on Lakers. We didn't even mention, Andy, tonight's game. The Lakers in Dallas taking on the Mavericks. No Kyrie expected for this one, so it's an opportunity for the Lakers to pick up another victory. Catch every game catch every minute, I should say, of the hometown broadcast with Sirius XM on the SXM app. Search Lakers. Should be a good one. Locked on Lakers on YouTube is where you can go see the show, hang out with 22,000 subscribers, and debate whether or not a banner should go up at the Crypt. It doesn't matter what you think, just maybe talk about whether or not you like it. We will be back, of course, to talk about tonight's game and recap it for you. We'll see everybody on Wednesday.